This story was crafted by our talented Revenge Tempest viewer Emily R. If you trust in your writing skills and imagination, leave a comment below. We'd love to connect with you and explore your creative potential. My name is Cara. I moved into my sister's estate after my life collapsed. She said I could stay, just until I found something stable. So I cleaned her windows, set her dinner table, smiled at her friends, and stayed quiet, until a man I'd never seen before handed me a letter addressed to Cara Whitmore, legal owner. She was pouring wine when I opened it. My name is Cara Whitmore, a 32-year-old former graphic designer from Portland, Oregon, now living in the shadow of my sister's opulent life in a sprawling estate just outside Seattle. My life hadn't always been this way. Once I had a thriving freelance career, a cozy apartment, and a sense of purpose. But a brutal market crash wiped out my clients, and a messy breakup left me broke and homeless. My sister, Vanessa Hargrove, married into wealth 2 years ago, her husband a real estate mogul, and she'd offered me refuge with a patronizing smile. "Just until you find something stable," she'd said, her tone dripping with superiority. I took it, grateful yet humiliated, unaware that my role would shrink to that of a live-in servant. The estate was a marvel, acres of manicured gardens, a marble-floored mansion with chandeliers that glittered like frozen tears, and a staff that eyed me with pity. Vanessa's life was a parade of galas and board meetings, her husband, Gregory, a stern man who barely acknowledged me. I settled into the guest wing, a plush but isolated corner, and fell into a routine. Mornings were spent polishing windows streaked with rain, afternoons setting the long dining table with silverware that felt foreign in my hands, and evenings smiling at her friends, wealthy socialites who tossed casual insults about my temporary status. I stayed quiet, swallowing the bitterness, overhearing whispers of shady deals and family secrets behind closed doors. Vanessa treated me like furniture, her kindness a thin veneer over control. "You're lucky I let you stay," she'd say, handing me a laundry basket, her diamond ring catching the light. I nodded, my pride eroding with each task, believing I was just the help. The turning point came on a rainy evening, the kind that blurred the estate's windows into a watercolor smear. I was in the dining room arranging napkins when Vanessa glided in, a bottle of Pinot Noir in hand, her laughter echoing with guests. The doorbell rang, an unusual interruption, and a man in a gray suit entered, tall, with a briefcase and an air of authority. The staff froze, and Vanessa's smile faltered as he approached me, not her. "Miss Cara Whitmore?" he asked, his voice crisp. I nodded, confused, as he handed me a sealed envelope. The address read, Cara Whitmore, legal owner, in elegant script. Vanessa's wine glass paused mid-pour, her eyes narrowing. I tore it open, my hands trembling, and read the letter from a law firm. "You are the sole heir to the Whitmore estate and its assets as per the last will and testament of Eleanor Whitmore, deceased. Please contact us to claim your inheritance." The room went silent, the clink of glasses halting, Vanessa's guest staring. My mother's maiden name, Whitmore, flashed in my mind. Eleanor Whitmore was her mother, my grandmother, a woman I'd barely known, her death a footnote in my childhood. Vanessa's face drained of color. "That's impossible," she snapped, snatching the letter. "This estate belongs to Gregory and me." The man in gray, introducing himself as Mr. Daniel Pierce, a probate lawyer, remained calm. "The will, executed before Mrs. Whitmore's passing 5 years ago, names Cara as the legal owner. Your occupancy was provisional, pending her claim." The revelation hit like a storm. This estate, the wealth, the power, wasn't hers. It was mine. My grandmother, estranged from the family after a feud with Vanessa's father, had left it to me, her only other grandchild, a secret buried until now. Vanessa's reaction was a mix of rage and disbelief. "This is a mistake. Cara's a nobody, she can't own this," she hissed, her voice rising. Gregory joined her, his stern face darkening. "We've invested millions here," he said, glaring at me. "You can't just waltz in and take it." Mr. Pierce adjusted his tie. "The will is ironclad. Cara has 30 days to assert her claim, or the estate reverts to a trust for charity. I suggest you consult your own counsel. The guests murmured, some amused, others shocked as Vanessa's control slipped. I stood frozen, the letter crumpling in my hand, my mind racing. This wasn't just a home. It was a fortune, a legacy, and a weapon against the sister who'd reduced me to a maid. That night, I retreated to the guest wing, the letter's words echoing. My grandmother's will detailed the estate. Land, stocks, a private art collection, worth tens of millions, all willed to me after Vanessa's father, her favored child, squandered his share. Notes hinted at betrayal. Vanessa and Gregory had forged documents to claim it, believing I'd never surface. The realization stung. I'd been living in my own inheritance, serving those who'd stolen it. I called Mr. Pierce, arranging a meeting, my voice shaky but determined. He warned me of resistance. Vanessa's legal team was formidable and they'd fight dirty. The next day, I met Chloe Bennett, a friend from my design days turned paralegal, at a quiet cafe. She reviewed the will, her eyes widening. This is legit, Cara. But Vanessa's got resources. She'll challenge it with forged papers or blackmail. She suggested gathering evidence, starting with the estate's records. We planned a discreet search, my heart pounding at the thought of confronting Vanessa. That evening, while she hosted a dinner, I slipped into Gregory's study, finding a locked drawer. Using a hairpin, I opened it, uncovering contracts with falsified signatures and a ledger noting payments to a fixer. My name appeared, crossed out, proof of their intent to erase me. Footsteps approached, and I hid as Vanessa entered, ranting to Gregory about the letter. She can't have it, she said. We'll ruin her credibility, dig up her past. My breath caught. They'd exploit my collapse, my struggles, to discredit me. I escaped unnoticed, the documents tucked away, my resolve hardening. This wasn't just about inheritance. It was about remembering who I was, a woman they'd tried to bury. The letter had awakened me, and I wouldn't stay quiet anymore. The estate's grandeur felt like a cage, but now it was mine to claim, and the battle for justice was just beginning. The faint creak of the estate's wooden floors echoed in my ears as I sat in the guest wing. The stolen documents from Gregory's study spread across my bed. Cara Whitmore, once a broken graphic designer reduced to a servant, now held the key to a legacy my sister Vanessa had usurped. The letter from Mr. Pierce had ignited a fire within me, revealing the Whitmore estate as mine, a truth Vanessa and her husband had buried with forged papers and whispered threats. The ledger's entries, payments to a fixer, my name crossed out, hinted at a deeper conspiracy, a fight for justice that stretched beyond family betrayal. Chloe Bennett, my paralegal friend, was my ally, her sharp mind guiding me through this legal labyrinth. Chloe arrived the next morning, her briefcase bulging with research. She pored over the documents, her brow furrowing. These contracts are fraudulent. Vanessa and Gregory altered your grandmother's will with fake signatures, she said, her voice low. The ledger suggests they hired someone to intimidate Eleanor into signing over power of attorney before her death. It's corruption, Cara, and they've been living off your inheritance. My stomach churned as the pieces fit. Vanessa's lavish lifestyle, the staff's pity, all built on a lie. Chloe suggested we take the evidence to Mr. Pierce, but warned, they'll counter with character attacks. We need more proof. The idea of my past, my career collapse, my breakdowns, being weaponized fueled my resolve. This was about reclaiming my identity, not just property. We devised a plan to gather evidence, starting with the estate's financial records. That night, while Vanessa hosted another gala, I slipped into the study again, Chloe covering me with a distraction, spilling wine on a guest's dress. I found a safe behind a painting, its combination a birth date I recognized as my grandmother's. Inside were bank statements showing millions funneled into offshore accounts, and a letter from Eleanor to me, unopened. Cara, my dear, this estate is yours. They've turned against me, but you'll set it right. Tears stung my eyes. Her faith in me, a cape now rediscovered, strengthened my purpose. Footsteps forced me to hide as Gregory entered, ranting to Vanessa. The lawyers sniffing around. We need to discredit her, her mental state, her debts. Vanessa's voice was cold. Leak it to the press. She'll crumble. I slipped out, the letter clutched tight, my resolve hardening. The next day I met Mr. Pierce, presenting the evidence. His eyes widened. This is damning. We'll file a claim but expect a fight. They'll use every dirty trick. He advised a media blackout to protect my case, a strategy that felt like a cage but was necessary. Vanessa's retaliation came swiftly. Tabloids ran stories, fabricated tales of my instability, old debts exaggerated, courtesy of a source close to the family. My phone buzzed with hate messages, my past laid bare. Chloe countered with a legal cease and desist, but the damage stung. I found solace in Mia Torres, a counselor friend, who helped me process the betrayal. This is their fear talking, she said. You're stronger than they know. Her support, a form of solidarity, gave me courage. We organized a private meeting with the state staff, who, fearing Vanessa's wrath, shared stories of forged documents and coercion, adding to my case. The tension peaked when Gregory confronted me in the kitchen, his face red. Sign this, relinquish your claim, or we'll ruin you publicly. I refused, clutching Eleanor's letter. This is mine, I said. He stormed off, but not before I noticed a burner phone in his pocket. Evidence of outside help. Chloe traced its number to a private investigator, linking him to the fixer in the ledger. This was a network of corruption and I was its target. With Mia's encouragement, I held a discreet rally for staff support, their testimonies strengthening my resolve. The fight for justice was personal, a journey of rediscovering who I was beneath their lies. That night, I wrote a journal entry, the rain outside mirroring my turmoil. The estate, once a prison, now felt like a battleground. Chloe's plan included a court filing, but the threat of Vanessa's allies loomed. I wore my mother's locket, a talisman of my past, as I prepared to face them. The betrayal had stripped me bare, but it also forged a new identity. Owner, fighter, heir. The next step was clear. Expose the truth and reclaim what was mine step by step, building a future rooted in justice. The rain tapped a steady rhythm against the estate's tall windows as I stood in the guest wing, the weight of Eleanor's unopened letter heavy in my hands. Cara Whitmore, once a shadow in my sister Vanessa's opulent world, had awakened to a legacy stolen and a fight for justice that now defined me. The evidence, forged contracts, bank statements, staff testimonies, had set the stage for a legal battle, while the private investigator's burner phone linked to a fixer hinted at a broader corruption network. Vanessa's tabloid smears had bruised me, but they'd also galvanized my resolve. This was no longer just about reclaiming the Whitmore estate. It was about dismantling the power that had silenced my grandmother and nearly erased me, rebuilding a future where truth prevailed. The next morning, Chloe and I met Mr. Pierce in his downtown office, a stark contrast to the estate's grandeur with its worn leather chairs and stacks of legal tomes. He reviewed the new evidence, his expression grave. "This is a gold mine," he said, tapping the ledger. "The forged will, the offshore accounts, the investigators' involvement. It's a clear case of fraud and coercion. But Vanessa's team will fight tooth and nail, and that fixer suggests a syndicate backing them." He outlined a strategy. File for an injunction to freeze the estate's assets, subpoena the investigator, and prepare for a public hearing. "They'll try to discredit you," he warned. "Your past will be their weapon." The thought of my breakdowns paraded before a judge chilled me, but Chloe squeezed my hand. "We'll turn their attacks into our strength," she said. Her solidarity was a lifeline, and with Mia Torres, my counselor friend, we planned a counter-narrative, framing my resilience as proof of my rightful claim. The injunction filing sparked chaos. Vanessa stormed into the guest wing, her face a mask of fury. "You think you can take this from me?" she shouted, waving a court summons. "I built this life." Gregory loomed behind her, his voice low. "Sign it over, or we'll drag your name through the mud." I stood firm, Eleanor's letter in my pocket. "You stole it," I said. "I'm taking it back." They left, but not before I overheard Gregory muttering about Plan B, a hint of escalation. Chloe traced the investigator's number to a man named Victor Lang, a known enforcer with ties to corporate blackmail rings. This was bigger than family greed. It was a network of corruption protecting its interests, and I was the threat they couldn't ignore. Days later, the public hearing loomed. Mia coached me on staying composed, her sessions a blend of therapy and strategy. "They'll paint you as unstable," she said. "Show them your strength." I practiced my testimony, recounting my grandmother's letter, the staff's stories, the forged documents, each word a brick in my case. The courtroom was packed, Vanessa and Gregory flanked by slick lawyers, their confidence a facade. I took the stand, my voice steady despite the tremor in my knees. "This estate was left to me by Eleanor Whitmore," I began. "My sister and her husband falsified her will, coerced her, and reduced me to servitude to hide the truth." The prosecutor presented the evidence, the ledger's payments to Lang a damning blow. Vanessa's lawyer countered with my past debts, a nervous breakdown, but Mia's prep held me firm. "Those struggles made me fight harder," I said, earning a murmur of approval. The turning point came when Lang was subpoenaed. Under oath, he cracked, admitting to intimidating Eleanor and forging documents under Vanessa's orders, his ties to a corporate syndicate spilling out. The courtroom buzzed as evidence mounted: emails, bank transfers, a recorded threat to a staff member. Vanessa's face paled, Gregory's stoic mask slipping. The judge recessed, but the outcome was clear. Days later, the ruling came. The estate was mine, assets unfrozen, and Vanessa and Gregory faced charges of fraud and coercion. Their legal team crumbled, the syndicate's influence waning under public scrutiny. Justice was served, the power they'd wielded shattered, but the victory felt hollow. My sister's betrayal left a scar. With the legal battle won, I turned to rebuilding. The estate, once a prison, became a sanctuary. I sold off excess land to fund Whitmore Roots, a nonprofit aiding families recovering from financial ruin, echoing my own journey. The staff, now allies, helped transform the mansion into a community center, its grand rooms hosting workshops and support groups. Mia led mental health sessions, Chloe managed legal aid, and I oversaw it all, my identity as heir and advocate solidifying. The opening day drew a crowd. Local families, former staff, even a journalist from Sophie's network, celebrating resilience. I spoke. "This is for those who've been overlooked, for Eleanor, for a future built on truth." Applause washed over me, a wave of solidarity healing old wounds. Alone that night, I explored the estate's attic, finding a trunk of Eleanor's belongings. Inside was a photo of her with me as a child, a note: "You were always my hope, Cara." The chaos of her presence was replaced by rediscovery, tears falling as I traced her handwriting. I displayed it in the center, a tribute to my roots. Vanessa wrote from her bail hearing, a shaky apology. "I was wrong. Forgive me if you can." The safety in her words surprised me, and though I couldn't erase the past, I sent a reply offering a meeting, reconciliation a distant possibility. The estate thrived, its legacy now mine to shape, a future rooted in justice and renewal. The syndicate's remnants faded, Lang's testimony dismantling their operations. I hired security, wary of lingering threats, but the peace grew. One evening, sorting donations, I found a sketch I'd drawn as a child, proof of the creativity Vanessa had mocked. It hung in the center, a symbol of my transformation. The rain softened outside, a sign of calm after the storm, as I planned Whitmore Shield, a legal fund for inheritance disputes. My journey from outcast to owner had forged a new identity, and with my allies I'd turned their scorn into a triumph, step by step, rebuilding a life of purpose and justice.